Hey, how you doing? My video today is about how Dan Campbell, MC, DC, Motor City Dan Campbell is not up for Coach of the Year. That somehow all the other coaches somehow they deem to have a better year than Dan Campbell. The Lions started off 1-6. And they ended up with a winning record. What other coach had that this year? Let me think. None. Let me tell you something else about our coach Dan Campbell. In the last game of the season, where the Lions were eliminated after the Seattle game, and they had to play that night, and they had no way they weren't going to make the playoffs. Green Bay was playing to make the playoffs, and they asked Dan Campbell, what are you playing for today? And he said, we're playing to make sure Green Bay doesn't go to the playoffs. His team had nothing to play for, nothing, and they went out and beat Green Bay. And it's just the same old in Detroit. That's all it is no matter what we do, it's never ever taken seriously. The 84 Tigers are never ever mentioned in the greatest teams of all time or anything like that, even though they went from wire to wire and the whole, they were never out of first place for the whole entire year. All the other teams in Detroit, the Red Wing team that was like an all-star team, they do get mentioned as one of the greatest teams of all times. The Bad Boys, everybody, all they did was go out and beat people up. They didn't really win. No, Joe Dumars didn't beat anybody up. Isaiah Thomas didn't beat anybody up, and all the teams in Detroit, we never get the hubbub. I guarantee you right now, if Dan Campbell was coach of the Cowboys, and what happened with where they went 1-6, and he came back and they had a winning record, they'd be naming the trophy after him if he was a Dallas Cowboy coach. Because anything that happens in the NFL by the Dallas Cowboys, it's like, oh, the Dallas Cowboys. But when we do it in Detroit, nobody cares. And Dan Campbell's Coach of the Year. I don't care who else wins it. Dan Campbell's Coach of the Year. There's nobody else that's had the problems this year that Dan Campbell's had. Starts off 1-6, and Sheila, the Ford Hamp, comes out and says, you know what, he's our guy, we're sticking with him, we're working towards something here in Detroit, and the roar has been restored. Anybody who's out there that thinks, oh, the Lions are going to lose next year, no, we're not. We're going to the playoffs next year. We're going to have another good draft this year, and we're going to sign free agents this year. And if we don't sign free agents, it's only because they don't fit under the cap, or they're deemed not to be Dan Campbell type guy. Because even Dan Campbell said free agents are going to want to come here. This is a team on the rise. This isn't the same old Lions. This is the new Lions. And Holmes is gonna make sure that Dan Campbell has everything he needs to be able to win in Detroit. And the ownership is finally decided that they're going to take an active role in making sure this team is good. And I think that Dan Campbell got screwed. And Detroit Lions fans should get ready, because the next screw you is going to be that Hutch is not going to win Rookie of the Year. And he should win Rookie of the Year. And what about this guy? What about this guy? Yeah, what about our guy? it's no respect in Detroit and for any of our teams, and that's the reason why the movement of Detroit versus everyone was started. If you ask any Detroit fan, they know exactly what I mean when I say Detroit versus everybody. Because nobody that's not a Detroit fan, they don't give a crap about our teams. They don't give a crap about giving us any respect. No matter what we do, it's not enough. Dallas Cowboys suck, but we got to talk about them for half of the pregame show. Green Bay Packers, they suck, but we're going to talk about them all through the pregame show. Dallas has had good years and bad years, but they always talk about them no matter what. And there's just teams in the league that no matter what happens, if they're good or bad, they talk about them. And it's too bad, and that Dan Campbell probably had one of the I wouldn't say one of the best coaching years, but I'm saying when you start off 1-6 and you somehow still rally the troops to come back for a winning record, I mean, none of the other people that are the coaches that are up for this had that adversity. So in Detroit, Motor City, Dan Campbell is Coach of the Year. And the climate in Detroit has changed. This team is going to be getting better and better and better. And I really thought after they were on Hard Knocks, and it seemed that there was a lot of people that were saying, you know what, I hope Detroit does really well this year, that I thought that he might be considered to be more than, I hear people all the time say, oh, he's just a meathead. Well, no. You hear him talk, he's not a meathead. He talks, he doesn't talk like he's stupid or anything like that. I think the problem was that first speech that he had when he was all excited when they named him head coach, and he was talking about biting kneecaps and all that and all this crap. I even thought, this guy's an idiot. And he doesn't do that anymore. He's calmed down, and he's a lot better. That he's not, he still has these crazy speeches and stuff, but he's not talking about biting kneecaps and all this and that. And I think Hard Knocks kind of made it so that he didn't seem to be so meatheadish. I thought that it helped to make him look like he was a more rounded coach, and I don't understand how he's not up for Coach of the Year. It makes absolutely no sense, but yeah, that's Detroit versus everybody. All right, God bless.